The Steam Summer Sale is going on right now, which always has me going through my ever-growing wish list to see what gems I still need to play and how much I can get them for. And yeah, there are a lot of great games on that list, but I'm only one person with a limited amount of free time, so these are some of the titles that I'd like to get around to playing one day. Ones that I've been eyeing up for a while now that I think finally deserve my attention. And I was going to start this list off with Elden Ring, but then I decided just to buy Elden Ring instead, so we're starting with Outer Wilds. I really don't know why I've been avoiding this one. Probably because I know that I can only play it for the first time once, and I want to make sure I really savor that experience. I am, though, pretty proud of myself for avoiding any major spoilers over the past 4 or 5 years. All I really know is that you fly a spaceship around to a bunch of weird planets and you die a lot. The universe explodes or something at a certain point, and you have to keep traveling back in order to figure out the whole mystery. Also, really curious to see what Mobius Digital has in store for us next, and hopefully I will have played their first game by the time their second one comes out. And by the way, if I didn't make it clear before, this list just consists of games that have already been released, because I do have about a million other videos already about the upcoming games that I want to play. And why not throw another time loop game in here for spot number 2, The Forgotten City. Like many of you, probably, I was fascinated by Roman and Greek mythology as a kid. Thanks, Percy Jackson. So right off the bat, you're exploring the ruins of an underground city. Pretty sweet. Then you travel back 2,000 years to right before its destruction and use your powers of deduction to figure out who done it. I really haven't even watched any reviews for The Forgotten City. Like, at least with Outer Wilds, I've seen a bunch of those video essays where it's like, here's why you should play the game, but with no spoilers. With this one, it seems to have a bigger focus on narrative and characters. There's also some puzzle solving, and I guess there is combat too with your bow here, and I mean, ancient Rome, underground, come on, that's pretty sick. So I mentioned in the intro that I just started playing Elden Ring, which is my first foray into Souls games. And Divinity Original Sin 2 was kind of the same thing for CRPGs. I thought it was an amazing game, and it showed me that turn-based combat could actually be very fun. That's why Baldur's Gate 3 is also on this list. I know that they have different combat systems. BG3 is based on D&D. I couldn't begin to tell you what that actually means, though. It also seems even more over the top in terms of the characters and their personalities. I also like that it has fully animated cutscenes. It kind of brings you into the story and the drama even more, and that's really what it's all about, right? I'll probably play as an elf, maybe. I do usually like to be sort of a more agile, sneaky character, and magic is pretty cool too. Baldur's Gate 3 will definitely pull me in for a good month or two, so I do need to pick a good time to start it. And same thing goes for Persona 5. Really, I don't have anything meaningful to say about this one. The trailers are really good, and honestly I've heard nothing but positive things. I guess what stands out to me most, aside from the visuals, is this kind of split gameplay. Spending half your time as a student, going shopping, getting a job, hanging out with friends, and then the other half of your time you're battling your way through dungeons in this other realm. Almost like it's 2 separate games that are connected by the story and the characters. That's a pretty fascinating idea that I'd like to see in more games for sure. Now I know that I'm gonna have to space out these very large RPGs with a bunch of smaller indie titles, and really I have no shortage of those. So these last few are just some of them that I take a peek at every now and then when they're on sale, but haven't pulled the trigger on yet. Neon White is actually kind of another split game like Persona 5, but I think that most of the emphasis still goes to the parkour levels, with the social stuff being much more of a secondary thing. People always say that the dialogue is super cringy, but I'm kind of here for that, honestly. Mostly, though, I'm here for these gorgeous, heavenly-looking maps, card-based power-ups, and hidden collectibles. And I might as well throw in one more Annapurna game while I'm at it, since they do know how to pick some very interesting titles to publish. Honestly, I would have bought Lorelei and the Laser Eyes already when it came out in May, if it didn't happen to fall right in the middle of all my Animal Well videos. I love puzzle games, and I'm particularly drawn to the survival horror approach to puzzles. This one isn't a horror game per se, but it does feature pretty intense fixed camera angles and a creepy and mysterious setting filled with locked doors, mazes, and cryptic codes. It's one of those games that you pretty much need a notebook to play because there's a lot going on, and definitely some stuff you'll want to write down for later. And another one that requires you to put your detective hat on is Return of the Obra Dinn. Just a really unique idea all the way through. I like that the whole thing, I presume at least, takes place on a single ship. You sort of have to get to know each character and figure out what they were doing when they died and how exactly it happened. People seem to love Lucas Pope's work. I also haven't played Papers, Please, I know, but one thing at a time, okay? It honestly was really hard to narrow down a reasonably sized list for this video, but I think it may actually help motivate me to dive into some of these, having just a couple to choose from that I already picked out as my top choices. And last but not least, Nuclear Blaze is a little pixel platformer about fighting fires as you work your way through a mysterious government facility. And that's really all I needed to know in order to be sold on this one. It looks gorgeous, total eye candy, and it's actually a solo project from the designer of Dead Cells that started off as a game jam project. And he's now working on the somehow even more gorgeous martial arts game, Tenjutsu. Nuclear Blaze is $4 right now. I really don't know why it isn't in my library, but it will be whenever the time is right. Generally, if I either have the option to work on a video or play a game, I'll probably choose the video. But there is some sort of balancing act in there. Can't have a gaming channel if I don't play any games. It is nice, though, to have something to play that is completely unrelated to YouTube. For the foreseeable future, that will be Elden Ring, a nice, relaxing way to unwind at the end of the day.